Warning, what you are about to see is how political party establishment removes viable candidates from the ballot so that you, the voter, have no voice in the election. Watch this video until the end, share it so the whole world can see.
Maybe present some documents first.
Yeah, please start by.
My name is Victor Whitehead, VICTOR WHITEHEAD.
As the candidate, I would like to receive a copy of the evidence as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Whitehead, and I'm the chairman of the Delaware County Republican Party. I'm also here today representing Russ Willis, who is the Madison County Republican Party chair. Chairman Willis could not be here today due to a previously scheduled trip out of the country. You should have in your binders a letter from him giving the authorization to speak on his behalf. We are here today to challenge the candidacy of James R. Peters Sr., who is seeking to be a Republican candidate for House District 35. Mr. Peters does not meet the party affiliation requirements of IC 3-8-2-7, Section 4. The code states that for the purpose of this subdivision, a candidate is considered to be affiliated with a political party only if the following applies. A, the most recent primary election in Indiana in which the candidate voted was a primary election held by the party with which the candidate claims affiliation. Or B, the county chairman of the political party with which the candidate claims affiliation and the county in which the candidate resides certifies that the candidate is a member of the political party. When Mr. Peters filed his Can-2 on January 21st, he marked the box indicating that the most recent primary election in Indiana in which he voted was the primary held by the party with which he claimed affiliation, and signed the declaration indicating that he is a Republican and that all the information on the declaration is true and complete. A review of his Indiana voting records, Exhibit Peters 1, shows that he has voted in most general elections since 2004, but Mr. Peters has never voted in a primary election. In a Facebook post the day before he signed the Can-2 and filed it, Mr. Peters acknowledges that he has never voted in a primary, and that was Exhibit Peters 2. Furthermore, Mr. Peters did not file a county chairman certificate to his Can-2 form. Mr. Peters did reach out to Chairman Willis and myself asking us to sign a certificate stating that he was a member of the Republican Party. His request was denied by both of us because we could not verify his political party affiliation. According to Chairman Willis, who is Mr. Peters' county chairman, he has never been involved in the Madison County Republican Party, has never volunteered for a Republican candidate in Madison County, nor has he made a donation to the Republican Party. Mr. Peters asked us to use his social media accounts as evidence that he is a Republican. A review of his Facebook page does show that he's a strong supporter of President Trump. However, I could not find any posts supporting any local or state Republican candidates or on any local issues. I informed Mr. Peters that there was a lot of Democrats in Delaware County that love President Trump, so I could not base my decision on certifying him as a Republican solely based on his social media accounts. Based on his Indiana vote history, and that the county chairman certificate is not attached to his Can-2 form, we ask that you uphold our challenges and remove Mr. Peters from the ballot. Thank you.
Mr. Peters present?
I am.
So he will be offered not to be addressed again. This is an opportunity to cross-examine.
Oh. I don't need to right now, no.
I'm sorry.
I think my evidence will be sufficient.
Will you,
My name is James Peters, JAMES, PEPERS.
okay.
And may I give evidence to the commissioner, please? I kind of made it very simple, so as I go, you can kind of just follow along. And I asked that, 7 minutes will probably be enough, but I might run over a minute or two. I would ask that if I do need that, please allow for that, because this is very important.
Just 1 second. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the central themes on the ballot challenge defense is the fact that Russ and Victor are abusing their discretion as county chairs to not sign my waiver and certify me as a Republican. The purpose of the waiver requirement is to serve as alternative to primary voting record as the means of verifying one is a part of the political party they claim. You're going to see in the evidence I get you that Chairman Willis in particular admitted that I'm a Republican, or at the very least that me being a Republican is not the issue, when in fact that's the only issue at hand today. Another theme is that Indiana Code 3827 in no way provides the compliance with this provision is essential to a valid election. You're going to see that in White versus Wheeler. Mr. Willis and Mr. Whitehead are seeking to disenfranchise the voters, to remove me from the ballot, so that the only other Republican left is Ms. Railway. The Indiana Constitution protects elections from this very thing. Never in the history of this commission has someone who never voted against our party in a primary been removed from a primary ballot. Never in the history of this commission has someone who never voted in any primary been removed from the ballot. A little bit about me. Been a mortgage broker for 15 years, business owner for 9 years. I worked my way up in 2005 from a telemarketer to a loan officer to a senior loan officer to a branch manager to a profit and loss business owner to now I own a mortgage company 100%. I've helped hundreds of clients achieve the American dream of home ownership, spanning 7 states and hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate transactions. I'm a husband, father of 3, about to have a little baby girl, and son. I'm a friend to many. I wanted to say, I thought that maybe I would go first, but the defense of the challengers is basically, I've never voted in a primary. However, you see that I voted in pretty much every election other than a primary, right? Never really had a dog in the fight. I honestly thought that I had voted in a primary for Ted Cruz in 2016. I believe that. There was no dishonesty when I filed the form to run for this election. And I had contacted attorneys to figure out what should I do. And I was advised by attorneys, even one from the Indiana Election Commission or Division, to go ahead and file and then let the commissioners decide. Because he wouldn't certify me. It's not like I didn't reach out to him and he didn't reach out to me. And you're gonna have evidence that he admitted I was a Republican. Now, the Indiana Constitution guarantees that all elections shall be free and equal. That's Article 2, Section 1. Most of you guys, because I've read the meeting minutes and familiarized myself with what's happened, you guys are familiar with the Ellsperman case. Ellsperman filed the form. She didn't have the party certificate. She had voted, Ellsperman had voted Democrat in a primary, and the party chair still certified Ellsperman, and she was allowed, she won, or Ellsperman won the election. And Wyatt versus Wheeler, the Indiana Code is clear. It does not provide the compliance with this provision is essential to a valid election. Under these circumstances, the irregularity in Ellsperman's declaration and any misconstruction of Indiana Code 3827 by the IAC or the Superior Court cannot justify reversal of the trial court's denial of a preliminary injunction because it would contradict the will of the electorate and disenfranchise the voters. And the Supreme Court has long held not to disenfranchise the will of voters. Now, in White versus Wheeler, the statute, you guys probably know, used to read that a candidate who has never voted in a primary election and claims a party affiliation. And that's why, that's precedent in this hearing. Now, I'm going to show you, Facebook hasn't been a thing, before it was MySpace and other forms, but you're going to see political posts from spanning 8 years, starting in 2012, that I'm a Republican. And there's evidence to see that. And you're also going to see that Russ Willis, who's not here today, admitted that he had seen my Facebook post and that me being Republican is not the issue. But that is the issue at hand today. So you can kind of scroll through and see all of the Facebook posts. GOP, man, I was upset with Obama, right, winning. I thought he was going to ruin the country. I've been educated since then. Maybe Romney was worse than Obama. But I've always voted straight ticket Republican. Always. And you're gonna see, if you scroll through the post, Wisconsin, New York Times, Trump's winning. I mean, I'm mad that you guys voted Obama. Trump demolished Cruz. He is the Republican nominee. All in for Donald Trump, I guess. The media talking to Trump and we'll lose Texas is appalling. Texas is a red state. Ted Cruz demolishes Bernie. The 2020 election is going to be no hold barred. There is nothing better than hearing I used to be a Democrat. I will never vote Democrat again. Can you hear the love tonight? If you'll fast forward to, and there's plenty of posts, but I really want you guys to see 35-12 is when I created a social media page with a party affiliation of being a Republican, and it was created over a year and a half ago. And in that is hundreds, countless people and posts of me being a Republican, countless posts. It's very easy to see. I've only provided a couple because I didn't want to overwhelm you with posts, right? I didn't want to overwhelm you with 1,000 pages of social media. Now, on page 13, I didn't reach out to Mr. Willis, who in the statute, he's the one that's supposed to certify me, and I believe he's the one that's abusing his discretion, because he's the county chairman that I reside in, not Mr. Whitehead. And unfortunately, Willis didn't show up, and I can't cross-examine him. But what I can do, if you'll see page 13 is Russ talking to me. If you look at page 14, I'm saying, look, I'm a Republican. It's easy to see. At the very bottom of the page, 35-14, Russ said, being Republican is not the issue. I had looked at your post, admitting that he had seen my post on Facebook, that I am a Republican, but in his mind, like Victor said earlier, I didn't have any political experience. Well, his version of political experience is far different than mine. My political experience is reaching out to constituents, talking to voters, and understanding what they want in a political candidate. Not the good old boy association, even though I have friends and I understand friends are important. 15, Russ Willis reached out to me through my Republican Facebook page, still refused to certify me, and you can clearly see that he admitted that me being a Republican is not the issue, when that's the only issue at hand. I have 6,300 followers on Facebook, hundreds of thousands of people reached consistently, and the page is enough alone to know that I'm a Republican. Due to precedent and how the Supreme Court favors the franchise, and
Mr.
it's strong.
Peters, I just want to recognize that we're running past time. So.
About a minute. Due to precedent, look, the precedent favors me. Case law is clear that you're not supposed to disenfranchise the voters. Indiana Constitution's clear and free and equal. And basically what they're trying to say is anybody who's never voted in a primary, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, the chairman has a sole authority to determine who's on the ballot, which the Indiana Constitution protects against that very thing. Me being removed from the ballot will allow Ms. Rowray to cast the sole vote of deciding who wins the Republican nomination. And at the end of the hearing, I ask that you reject the challenge and that you allow me to be on the ballot and let the voters decide who is going to win the nomination. Thank you. Now, I was going to allow Russ to certify me with all the evidence, but he didn't come today, so he couldn't do that. So thank you.
Mr. White, nothing else? Do you have any closing statements?
I guess my only statement is, Indiana code doesn't state anywhere, there's no guidelines on how the county chairman are supposed to determine if someone is to be certified as a Republican or a Democrat. It's all up to our discretions and our party rules. And based on that information, the information that we had conversations, both Mr. Willis and myself had conversations with Mr. Peters. We encouraged him before the deadline to attend a Republican conference that was happening. He did not.
I did. I attended a different one yesterday.
And so Based on the Indiana statute, I would just again ask you to uphold this challenge.
Yeah, you respond.
Yeah, once again, I did attend an event, and I've been extremely involved in politics. Now, he's right, the Indiana statute is very ambiguous, and that's why this commission has never removed somebody from the ballot that didn't vote in the primary. And the statute, when it was changed, the intent wasn't to remove somebody like myself from the ballot. It was intended to remove somebody who had voted in another party's primary from the ballot, and give the chairman that discretion to say, no, I'm not gonna certify you. It's not intended to say, you know what, you're a Republican, and I'm still not gonna certify you. The certification is very simple. It says, James Peters says he's a Republican, and he's gonna support the Republican Party. That is it. And yet they refuse to do that. I'm not here to abuse somebody's character or anything like that.
This was just a closing statement or
That's
rebuttal,
it.
so you
Okay.
presented your case.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll close the public hearing on cause number
Oh, so
20.
we get to answer questions before or after? Okay.
On number 2020-3738, so any discussion by the commission members?
I have a question. Sir, if you want to come back up and podium, so I can ask you a question. All right, so the statute is, by the way, I don't dispute that you're a Republican, that's pretty clear from all of this, and I also agree that the one chair did acknowledge that you are a Republican.
Right.
But the statute only provides two ways that you can get on the ballot, the Republican ballot. And that's if you voted in the primary or you get certified. Now, are you saying that, you admit that you thought you might have voted in the primary, but you don't dispute the evidence that they brought forward on that, right?
I don't dispute the evidence, but what I do dispute is that they don't have the sole authority under Indiana Constitution to determine who's on the ballot, especially when they're Republican. That's what I
Okay, here we go.
dispute.
So, because we are bound by the law.
That is correct.
So
and I agree with that.
the second provision way you can get on the ballot is if the county chair certifies you. And I just wanna make sure I understand your argument. Are you saying that the county chair is they are abusing their discretion if they don't certify you
Well-
because you are a Republican?
Well, many attorneys said that alone certifies the fact I'm a Republican. That their post admitting I'm a Republican, me showing I'm a Republican, actually certifies me itself. That alone certifies me, especially when the chairman admitted it. So that alone is a certification. But I think it goes beyond that the chairman is abusing their authority and discretion by trying to eliminate a candidate that other constituents and voters want. So that alone is a certification. He admitted that I'm a Republican. That is a certification. Now, he's also abusing his discretion by challenging me and willfully denying the certification.
Okay, so, all right, so let's suppose, in your research and everything
Mhm.
else, did you find any case law or any statute that says that, let me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That a county chair, that a county chair has to act in good faith, basically?
Well, no, but I did find, in Wyatt versus Wheeler, that's kind of the precedent for this statute, that's really it. And in Wyatt versus Wheeler, if you don't have a party chair, or you don't have a primary vote, then whatever party affiliation you have is the party that you represent. And in my case, it's clear that I represent the Republican Party, and that's appellate law.
Okay, but that case that you just cited, you said stands for the proposition if you don't have a county chair.
Or a primary, then whatever party affiliation you.
Right, but we
Right.
don't have that here, so we don't
Well,
have to
you
go
do,
back.
it's in
No, we don't have that situation here. Then on the facts of that, they have to have a way that people can get onto the ballot for a party. So if you don't have a county chair and you don't have a primary, then everybody in that county would be foreclosed from running in that particular party's primary or election, general election. So that's what that case does, it fixes that kind of situation. What I'm asking you, and I think what you're telling me is that you didn't find this, is that is there any case law or statute that says that a county chair has to act in good faith? I mean, is
Well,
there
the
anything?
Constitution,
Well,
the
no,
Constitution
please
is-
let me finish.
I thought
okay?
you were, I'm sorry, I thought you were.
So, I mean, basically, a county chair, if they don't like the shirt you wear when you come in the door,
Exactly.
they can say, no, I'm not gonna certify you.
And that's way too much power, that's an abuse of power, and that's what I'm saying here today. And that, you are right, that the county chair had, and the way that they interpret the statute, now that's not the way the commission has interpreted the statute. And that's why nobody like myself has ever been removed from the
I
ballot.
believe they have been removed from the ballot on the basis of that. I think we had someone from Ohio or Iowa or somewhere
Or
from out of state.
reference in Indiana.
Statute got changed
Yeah.
to reflect Indiana and all that, so, but, so, okay. I now have a question for the opposite side. Got it. Okay, so, all right, is there any limitation upon the discretion of the county chair in certifying a candidate?
Not that I know of. You know, in my experience, you know, I have each year, I have people come and ask me to sign off on them each year. I take each one seriously, I look into each one of them, and based on the information that I have available to me, I make the decision of, yes, I'm gonna sign off or no. And I believe this, from my conversations with Chairman Willis, he does the same thing. But I don't think there's any limitations.
Okay. And I'd ask the same question of our legal counsel.
I'm not aware of any limitations.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Mr. Roberts, I'm sorry, Mr. Peters, this is more comment or statement kind of question, but let me just start by saying I appreciate your passion and your dedication and making an effort to run for office and come all the way down here and all the research you've done. I'm impressed. I do think what we're talking about though is ballot qualification as opposed to removing someone from a ballot. And so when we sit here for ballot qualification type issues, we're kind of confined to the statute, which is fairly narrow, and they're kind of words of legal obligation like must and shall, and they don't necessarily open it to subjective, you know, a subjective or equitable remedy like you're asking for. I do think this will be the last time this ever happens for you, because I bet you vote I hope you vote in a Republican primary next time, and this is just never an issue. Because you will have met that qualification, you won't have to look to another party that holds control over whether you can be on the ballot or not. And for those reasons, I don't see today, based on what you said, what the evidence is and being limited to the statute, I don't see a way that I could vote and say, I agree, you got pretty close, I think you should be on the ballot. Because I don't doubt you're a Republican. I think what we're talking about here is ballot qualification. And I feel pretty constrained to I'm not saying we're removing you from the ballot, I'm saying under the statute, I don't think you qualify to be on the ballot for the primary. And so for that reason, I can't, I'm gonna vote to uphold if there's a motion, and if there's not, I'll make it to uphold the challenge. But again, I do wanna finish by saying, I've been very impressed with not only your dedication to the Republican Party, but the research and your presentation. So, question for council.
Can you answer a question about his can-do filing?
Sure.
Can you just tell me its completeness? Does he have everything?
It's marked, it is marked as, that he voted in the most recent primary with the party affiliation. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. Okay.
And Mr. Peters, this is your signature on the back of the can-do?
It is.
And it says that you certify the information, the declaration of candidacy is true and complete,
That is correct.
but in your prior testimony, you acknowledged that you had not voted in the primary?
Well, like I said, I thought that I had, and 2016 for Ted Cruz, and I submitted evidence showing my understanding that I voted for Ted Cruz and was passionate thinking that he was going to win, and he didn't. So I honestly didn't begin to not believe Mr. Willis, because Mr. Willis told me that it was imperative that both him and Mr. Whitehead certified me as a Republican, but only one of them needed to.
But do you contest that you did not vote in the primary?
I did not vote in the primary, that is correct, based upon the evidence that the defense has submitted.
Any other discussion? Any questions?
Um,
Karen?
So, if the email that says that he's Republican, this is for legal counsel, if the email that he says constitutes a certification, because we don't have a form that the chair has to fill out, a specific form in saying that I certify you as a Republican. So if that affirmation in that email, can that in any way be construed as a certification? The email where it's, the chair says that he acknowledges that he's a Republican?
If, I'll
No,
take
I
this
was
one
like, go ahead,
first,
yeah.
if you don't mind. Certainly, yes, because again, we do not have an official form that's been ordered by the code directors of the election division, who have the power to create forms under Title III. But I will mention, as is in statute, the certification must be attached to the declaration of candidacy when it is filed. And also, the election division is forbidden under state law from accepting any candidate filing forms after the deadline for filing for the primary has passed, which was 2 weeks ago.
So, okay, Mr. Peters, I want to echo what my colleague just said about your passion and getting involved in this. It is impressive what you've done. And Lord knows both parties are looking to involve younger people, because older people like myself are getting tired. So I hope that you will continue, and I don't agree with the politics, obviously, since I'm sitting on this end of the table, but I do hope that you will continue, and don't be disheartened by this, because I think I am gonna have to, the law is pretty clear, and that's what we have to go with, is this. Obviously, you're free to challenge that in a court of law.
Oh, yeah, I will, yeah.
After this, but
I think that, like I said, the statute's ambiguous. I don't, I know that you guys are saying that the ballot qualifications, but it is.
Please only address if she asks you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Co-counsel, Co-Chief, can I ask you a follow-up question to the statement you just made relative to the can too? What I thought I heard you say is that certification from the party should have accompanied the can too.
Yes. And I think I should add on to that one, because I'm just remembering that in the can-two that we have, and that was part of the challenger's affidavit, the candidate was also had to selected the box saying that the county chair was also certifying them. As you see in your binder, the first box was selected. Mr. Peters was claiming primary party affiliation. And I will just add this, is that I take, when we deal with these challenges, this is more of on procedural grounds. Was the declaration of candidacy filed as required by state law, which in this case would have been selecting the correct box on the form and providing said certification from county chair by the candidate filing deadline. I'll ask if I actually answered your question, sir.
Yeah. So after that follow-up, Valerie, do you concur with Matthew Co-Chief's
I do.
assessment?
Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion?
no, I would just note for the record that the can-two was filed on January 12th, and this email acknowledging that Mr. Peters is a Republican was sent on January 7th, 5 days before, so you were aware that this could potentially be a problem, because you were having these discussions back and forth.
Yeah, I was.
Hearing nothing further, is there a motion on the matter?
Mr. Chairman, for the reasons I stated earlier, I make the motion that the challenge be upheld or granted.
I'll second. Hearing a second, any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. There are no's. The ayes have it. The motion is upheld. Removed from ballot.
Hello, everyone. James Peters. As you can see today, I was removed from the ballot. I believe the Indiana Constitution was violated. Clearly, I plan on filing an appeal. I need your help and support. Stand with me today. Go to my website, jamespeters35.com. 5, 10, 20 bucks, whatever you can give. Help me file an appeal to get back on the ballot so that your voters have the choice. At the end of the day, our Constitution is under attack, not only politically as far as the electorate is concerned. Our Indiana Constitution is attacked, Second Amendment rights, and every other right that we have. This is just another assault on civil liberties and our freedom. The Indiana Constitution guarantees that elections shall be free and equal, and that's not how it is anymore, guys. I'm begging you to get behind me, to support me, so that we can have a voice and begin to make politicians fear us. JamesPeters35.com. Give whatever you can so that we can get this appeal filed and get back on the ballot so that you guys have a voice in the upcoming election. Thank you.